All right, video number 2. What's up, guys? This is my Sunday supercar, 2014 Chevrolet Captiva Sport. It is, you know, the old thing of like, you know, there's no more fun car to drive than drive hard than an economy car. It's true. It's true. It's definitely, these cars are definitely fun to vlog. I'm trying to find the I can't remember where the traction control button is. Eco mode, traction. I don't know where it is. But anyway, it's so it's raining here in Charleston. It's kind of nasty. You should have seen that, like the Doppler radar this morning. It looks like an arrowhead coming from, like, you know, Atlanta to like St. Louis is like how big this storm is, and it's all coming right toward the Atlantic coast. So it's not exactly like great outside, but needed to get this review done. So I'm happy to take any weather I can. And you know, while we grow the site, I really miss driving cars. I just really miss it, you know. So I'm trying to do everything I can to earn brownie points with every manufacturer that I can. So okay, so let's get back to the key features. This is a 2014 Chevrolet Captiva Sport front-wheel drive, and this car is we just outlined some of the sort of like the band-aid fixes that have gone into keeping this car relevant and appealing to consumers in 2014, despite being launched in about 2009 or so. So all of these things kind of work. I mean, it feels pretty good. It's really refined. I mean, it's pretty quiet. The automatic climate control is like something I wasn't expecting. It also has an auto-dimming mirror, HomeLink, sort of a sunroof. Let's see. It's got like these leather seats, which, you know, they look and feel like good leather, but they're really uncomfortable. This driver's seat is power operated though, which is nice. So there is a pretty big range of adjustment. So that's good, because, you know, like people like my girlfriend in college, this girl, you know, that my family calls Little Emily, and one of my cousins was like, "Oh, are you a little person?" No, she's just, you know, she's a gymnast, so she's like 5 foot tall. But you know, that's a key market for people who like a crossover versus. We'll keep going. For people who like a crossover versus just an economy car, because you know, if you're like it helps you feel like more substantial, safer on the road. You have a better view, and it's just a little bit more current than driving around in like a really low economy car. And then of course you've got like 55 cubic feet of space in the back. We folded the seats down for this quick little photo shoot today, and it's pretty respectable. The headrests barely need to be removed. I mean, in most front seat positions, the rear seat can fold down without removing its you know, it's three headrests. So that's a pretty good feature. I mean, definitely not possible with my Subaru at all. What that means is that, I mean, it basically speaks to like the total volume of the back seat, because if you have to remove those headrests, it just is like, I mean, you can do it with a tape measure. You can measure the length of the seat back versus the length of that headrest to the front headrest, and it really just, you know, if it doesn't add up, it doesn't add up. So it is pretty big back there. I'm a little surprised at how big it is. So those are all good things. It drives pretty well. It's got good refinement, pretty good handling. I mean, the brakes are good. The brakes are good. The brakes are good. So whenever you get one of these like European developed cars, particularly like the Buick Regal, the base Buick Regal for 2014, of course, has the turbocharged engine, and it's a great example of like the cheapest, you know, type of specification of that model could do 120 miles an hour all day long, because it's really been developed exactly for that in Germany, based on the Opel Insignia. So this car also shares a lot of those benefits. It drives well. It's confidence inspiring. I think this feels like hydraulic steering versus the new like electronic steering that can be so bad, alarmingly bad. I mean, you probably have been reading these car reviews and you're like, these guys won't shut up about electronic steering. Just wait, because once you drive a car with like really bad electronic steering, I mean, it's a total game. It's a total. It's a deal killer, because if you were. Because it's the main interface. The main interface. I mean, it would be as though like the brake pedal had violent kickback or something like that. You know, it would be that would be as significant a thing. And it becomes like more of a. It's just a concern. It's a safety concern. You know, light's not like about an impending accident, but about your ability to, you know, use active safety to avoid the accident in the first place. So these are all good things. So what like sucks about the Captiva Sport? Well, let me tell you. So it's, you know, there are some major downsides. So like some of these materials feel pretty good. Like the steering wheel is definitely, the wrap in particular, and this like metallic trim on the bottom, it feels like updated since like 2011 or so with the new General Motors and Chevrolet in particular, like material strategy. Which, I mean, I'm telling you, I probably sound like such a shill right now. Their cars are way better. They're way better than they ever have been before. And you know, I drove a 2012 Impala in the Hamptons with a steel wheel that took such a huge hit that the wheel must have been made of like sawdust, or I don't know what kind of steel that was. It took such a huge hit that the steel wheel looked like a little, sorry, on these country roads, the wheel looked like a pizza with one giant slice taken out of it. I was like, this is crazy. So, and that car was so bad. It was so bad. I just hated it. I honestly, I may or may not have been trying to punish it while inflicting that damage on the wheel. But regardless, I mean, that shouldn't happen. So obviously, when that happens to a wheel, you know, the tire falls off. It's a total nightmare. So good times. So there are downsides with the Captiva Sport. You know, despite having some updates, it's not very comfortable for me, at least on first sitting, the driving position, mainly because of these seats are. They're really, really firm, but, you know, like I think I yelled at you, they're really, really uncomfortable too. They have zero support. They have a really, really short seat base. Like, you know, I'm not like a tall guy. I'm like, you know, 5'11" or 6 foot, you know, on a good day. And a full third of my leg before my knee is hanging out over the seat overhang, which will sound very, very familiar to anyone who drove a Tahoe for a long time, or really, I mean, a lot of these cars. It's like the seat, you know, it's not a seat, it's more like a perch, which is a terrible thing for driving around town. But when you're like on a road trip, can be, you know, it's like an ass killer. So, you know, the seats suck. They're the worst part of this car. The center stack materials look like a little Pontiac Vibe-ish. There's like this chrome, you know, around it. I think it's black chrome actually, and it's sort of beveled like a watch face, but it looks disgusting. It has, you know, like the Vibe had all those way over the top like trims around all its stuff. Other sort of concerns about the vehicle: it has huge torque steer, despite being, you know, it's just a front wheel drive machine. So the torque steer, you know, is par for the course, not a big deal. Some other stuff that I'm noticing is the armrest is like, I don't know what's under here, but there's only like this little bit of armrest there. But then there is actually this like cool, clever storage. Oh, you see. So there's like a huge storage thing under there, which is kind of like, you know, what's the point? And it has, so this like cup holder thing sort of slides back and forth, which is a classic like European invention. Which is a classic invention that like no one wanted in the first place. So good times. So what else is going on with the car? It feels pretty slow. I mean, of course, this is just a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, and considering how slow it is and that it's just a front wheel drive car, without stats in hand, I'm pretty confident that its efficiency and mileage ratings are significantly below cheap competitors, which would include like the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Or I guess, you know, more realistically for fleet customers, it would be, I guess like the Chevy Cruze, the Ford Focus, let's see, like fleet under 21 grand. I don't know. So, but you have to really put all these things in perspective because, secondly, so let's say one thing quick about the fleet cars. So even though they are fleet cars and they go to, you know, people who, for people who use them as a company car, these cars are all over the market because they obviously go into the secondhand market, you know, after their first owner, you know, after they are driving something else. So there are a lot of these vehicles around, and it's a really great way for consumers. I mean, you could probably, I don't know, I mean, we'd have to go check, but I mean, I would be really, really surprised if you couldn't get a 1-year-old Captiva Sport for loaded LTZ for 10 grand. You know, so in 1 year for it to lose like, you know, for the LTZ, I mean, that thing stickers at like 28 or it's about 28 grand. So for it to lose so much value, I mean, it's like, it doesn't really say much. I mean, it's just about company cars. Like, company cars depreciate like crazy. And because most of the time you really wouldn't want somebody else's car if they drove it like I drove my Impala. So, But if the vehicle is good in the first place, I mean, this could be a real steal in the market. So so it's really cheap. So we have to put all that stuff in perspective. And let's turn around. So there are some definite things. There are some places where it feels like there have been a little bit of improvements, but definitely not enough. It's not bad. I mean, it's a conventional torque converter automatic, which is a huge asset versus any kind of CVT. So you have a torque converter automatic and you have hydraulic steering. So these are like important things to making an economy car drive like more of a luxury car from, you know, like a good luxury car. Whereas, you know, even luxury cars, you know, are going towards all of these electronic systems. And while great, I mean, they take a ton of tweaking. I mean, it just takes a long time to figure out because you have so many more settings. I mean, it's not like it's not like a, you know, something you just install and then forget. Like typically like the best CF automatics and stuff like that are gonna like do their thing regardless of whether it's in like a, you know, a Hyundai Accent, it's not, but or, you know, a BMW 750. So these electronic systems, and you know, particularly once people try to start like monkeying with the settings, then like 10 other settings change. It's just it can be difficult. So that's gonna be a problem with first gen technology. But that's not something that is one of the Captiva's downsides. Other sort of like issues with the car. All right, well, you know, I'm drawing a blank right now, so let's pause this, try to do the next video. If you're interested in the Captiva Sport, I definitely would say it drives far better than a number of other compact crossovers on the market, particularly at this price point. You know, you could even try to get one that was like 6 months old. I mean, it's going to lose like fleet vehicles in particular lose at least 5 or 10 grand on day 2, so that's pretty dramatic. But a great opportunity for buyers because it gets you into a car that's so new that it still has, you know, 98% of its warranty left, and you know, it still feels really rigid. It's, you know, it has no miles. I don't know how many miles are on this thing, but you know, so there are benefits for savvy consumers. All right, check back soon. We're gonna do some more videos of the Captiva Sport. Thanks a lot. This is Tom Burkart from Car Revs Daily.